noticed the rainbow oftentimes being used to celebrate Pride Month in gay parades and among those who celebrate what they see as advances for those with same-sex attraction. So advocates of homosexuality think that they have a lot to celebrate, and the emblem for their Pride movement is a multicolored flag symbolizing a rainbow of inclusion and tolerance. Ironically enough, the pride flag used in gay parades isn't a rainbow flag. They're missing a color, and it's the most important color, violet. Violet is the most important color. Why? Because it is a symbol of royalty, Christ's royalty to be exact. It shows Christ as king and how he stands dominant over sin, even the sin of homosexuality and sodomy. So my point is, don't call it a rainbow flag when it's missing a color from the rainbow. The rainbow symbol, however, was a Christian image first, one that Catholics should reclaim in charity and clarity to better extend the Church's mission to those who suffer and experience same-sex attraction and help them turn away. The rainbow is first seen as a sign of God's hope and mercy following the Great Flood, Genesis 9:8-17, and Jesus reveals that making disciples of all nations is at the heart of the Church's divine mandate, Matthew 28:18-20. Everyone, including those of all ethnicities and skin colors, is welcome in God's kingdom. This makes the Catholic Church the truly original Rainbow Coalition. But for the sake of humility, I would say that the rainbow is not ours. The rainbow belongs to God. It's the covenant of Noah, the Noahic covenant. Some people don't know this, and it's because in the English translation it says rainbow, and that God gave Noah a rainbow, and he said, "This shows that I will never again flood the earth to kill mankind." But in Hebrew, it's actually the word for the warrior's bow. It's kashet. And it goes like an arch, but which way is it pointing? Up to God. So you go through the 7 covenants. The covenants of Noah is one of the covenants, and in all the covenants there's usually an outcome negative for the party that fails. And in the new covenant, it's hell. But in the Noahic covenant, it's unilateral, not bilateral. And God is basically saying, I'm never going to harm you again with water like this. So he places the bow, and it's pointing towards him. Or a warrior's bow pointing at the sky towards God. Or a more modern analogy of an AR-15 pointing towards God. It's a warrior's bow pointed to heaven. Ultimately, who is going to die for the sins of mankind? God. So it's a prophecy of the incarnation and the death of Jesus that God, for sinful mankind, he's going to provide a sacrament of baptism to wash us, which is like the flood. And B, if we mess up again, he is going to take the arrow and take the death and the hit. So when you think about the theology, you think, wow, when the homosexual propaganda movement takes the rainbow, they are pretty much blaspheming this covenantal symbol of God dying for mankind's sin. Like I remember a discussion I had with a friend of mine, and we were discussing with his wife about how the rainbow is our favorite color. We're all grown straight men and women here, and the rainbow is so nice and so neat. Like, how did we lose it? Dr. Taylor Marshall even once discussed this on a podcast. And he also discussed this when you are spraying plants and then it hits the sun and there's like a rainbow and you just pause and go, wow, that's amazing. Light goes through all that water and makes that beautiful rainbow. Like, who doesn't like that? The rainbow is just way too cool to give up, and it's best not to lose it. All throughout the book of Revelations, God appears in a throne in heaven around a rainbow. In a lot of the apocalyptic Christian art, the rainbow always appears. The rainbow also appeared at the apparition of Our Lady of Fatima. But you could probably guess why militant LGBT groups use the rainbow as their logo. The rainbow denotes God's promise to not drown again the earth's inhabitants on account of their sexual perversions as in the days before the flood. The rainbow is God's promise of protection and God's humble willingness to take on death for humanity's sin. So the homosexual community's ripoff of the rainbow logo is merely flaunting around benevolence, mercy, and the sacrifice of God. The rainbow, Satan knows, is their armor against the wrath of God. Some would counter that the church does not shine forth a truly inclusive rainbow of God's love because it forbids same-sex attraction and tells people with same-sex attraction not to act on their desires that they think is natural or normal. Well, if you truly love a person and want to save their soul, you would encourage them to turn away from their sins. First and foremost, the church calls all human persons to chastity. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 to 10, Galatians 5, 19 to 21, which means not engaging in sexual activity before or outside the covenant of marriage. This is a tall order for any person, including those who are married, for they must die to themselves if they are to navigate their nuptial participation in divine love faithfully and fruitfully. See our catechism for CCC 1639, Ephesians 5:21 to 33. Secondly, you can't compare heterosexual acts with homosexual acts. When two people of the opposite sex are together, they are in love and see the continuation of the tribe and of the species. Homosexual acts gravely impede the participation of God. It doesn't lead to the continuation of the human race, but it does lead to the worst diseases imaginable, and as a result of acceptance, it has led to STDs, AIDS, cultural decline, promiscuity, narcissism, and worst of all, lack of God. God loves those with same-sex attraction, but only if they are truly repentant and turn away from their lifestyle. So yes, of course, a married gay couple acting on their desires is far worse than an unmarried straight couple fornicating. But with that being said, it doesn't make the straight fornicators any better. They're bad too. But in conclusion, there are many ways that Christians can take back God's rainbow by always remembering that it belongs to the universal church, but before that, always remember that it belongs to God first. The more we are brave enough to show that it is ours, the less the enemies of God would want to use it.